Hello, everybody. Hello, VC. My name is CJ Marcicano. I'm a writer, a musician, a bit of an internet DJ that's right now in between stations or getting ready to get on a new station for my radio show, the Groove Music Life radio show. I have a blog called thegroovemusiclife.com. I've been starting to get back into the blogging swing of things because I had a whole bunch of things going on the past several months, the radio show being one of them, a band that I quit about a couple months ago because it was getting downhill. Taking up some of my time because, long story, I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm doing this video to join in on the fun of showing off record collections on YouTube because I've been watching them for some time and I've been thinking about the best way to go about diving in head first into the YouTube vinyl community. So I figured the best way to do it is to show off a bunch of new stuff I got over the past couple of months, and you'll probably get maybe not get an idea of how diverse or weird or off track my collecting tastes get. I think best starting point off will be the stuff I got at this past record store day, which I have been like almost religiously going to for the past 5 years. And this past record store day was the most I ever spent on a record store day on the releases there. I spent a little over $300 there, which my wife almost shit when I told her how much I spent, but I had the money put aside just for that purpose, so it's not like I go spending hundreds of dollars every time I go into a record store. And thankfully the place I go to for 90% of my physical shopping on a local level, it's an independent store called Gallery of Sound, and anytime there's a record store day or the Christmas equivalent, their record store day, Black Friday, right before the holiday starts, they'll hold anything anybody wants for low deposits. So at least a month before, I'll go in, look through the list, write down what I want, give them a little cash towards it, and then when the day comes, I just pick up my stuff. And this time I actually ended up going home with 2 of the collector's bags worth of stuff because I have used one just for all the freebie samplers and all the other stuff that goes with it, and one just for the stuff I either held or picked up when I got there. And this is at the top of the list for the things I held and put a deposit on. Had to get this one because I love this band since junior high school. First Public Image Limited single, repressed 1 of 4,000, actually number 829 of 4,000. Excellent pressing, has been played. I don't flip records, I play them, that's why I buy them in the first place. Just like Johnny Ron said once, music is for listening to, for enjoying, not for sitting in a bloody cupboard, or in my case on a shelf because I have to keep them all organized somewhere. Always one of my favorite songs from Public Image Limited, of course, Public Image, backed with the Cowboys song, which is the Strange B-side. Nice, came out on the Light Indianic label, very nice replica of the Virgin style label. And of course, pretty soon they're going to finally put out the first Public Image Limited album on vinyl here in the States after, God, almost 40 years or whatever. I actually have an original pressing of the 1978 album. That was like the first import I ever bought. I bought it on my 14th birthday in 1981, but I did order a copy of the repress just because. Cool. Why did I have one? Because I like Public Image. Johnny Ron's one of my heroes. I don't apologize for that. Always has been, always will be. Next one. This was one of the more spontaneous pickups, but I had to go for it because I like them. David Bowie, the Picture Disc 45 of Drive-In Saturday. I haven't even played this yet, but I will at some point. I didn't even cut the seal. But that's nice. I'll probably just play it once or twice, do a needle drop on it so I can have it on digital, put it in my iPod, and that's it. This one, love this, played it a couple of times. This was another spontaneous one, but I grabbed it because I saw an extra copy. Rolling Stones 5x5. I've been on a big Stones kick the past couple of weeks. I don't know why. I always like the Stones. But usually, with my listening habits, there's stuff I listen to every day, like Japanese pop and punk rock, and then there's other stuff outside of that when I get into the mood to listen to it, I'm going to listen to it. And that's all there is to it. But excellent. Some of the stuff, I guess, if I remember correctly, that ended up on the second or third American Stones album in the States. I can't remember offhand, but great stuff. This is all the stuff on this one they recorded at the Chess Studio, so that was like, I guess, for these guys at the time, going to Mecca. Another one, I guess this is one I definitely have a copy of this held for me. Frank Zappa, I Am the Slime single version, Back to Montana. Of course, the green slime vinyl. The Barking Pumpkin label, unfortunately not a 45 hole, just a 33 hole. UK style, if you will. But very great. This one is a spontaneous grab, but I remember these guys from the Nuggets box set. Gone, the established 1966 EP on the Younger Than Yesterday label, which is actually more of a record store than a label, but they have a little record label for putting out reissues like this. Of course, Blackout of Growley, and 3 other songs. I think one of them is actually from a new album they did a couple years ago. I didn't play this yet, but I will. This was another hold. I had to get this one on hold and have this in my collection. One of Warner Bros. Rhino Records is side-by-side split singles, original on one side, cover version on the other. The Doors and X doing Soul Kitchen. Rest in peace, Ray Manzarek, who actually produced X's version, produced the first bunch of albums. Of course, if you know anything about X and Ray Manzarek, definitely, if you never heard X, check out their first 2 albums, especially Los Angeles and Wild Gift, because those are just great records. Another one, I can't remember if it's just a hold or a grab. Either way, mandatory. Hendrix, Hey Joe, Stone Free. Reissue, Black Wax, Jukebox Hole. I like a jukebox hole. Because someday I might get a jukebox. Goodness knows I got plenty of software to put in a jukebox. Mono versions. Didn't play this yet, but I'm going to do a needle drop on it. Dylan. Had to hold this one, because I'm a Dylan mark since, God. Wigwam and Thirsty Boots. Played it, didn't do a needle drop on it yet, but I like it. Teaser for another Bootleg Series album. That'll be a mandatory purchase when it comes out. This one, I didn't even know it was coming out. The store didn't have it, so I had to do an eBay thing for it, but I had to. Mike Watt and the Black Gang. I'll take off the keeper sleeve. Of course, I didn't take the shrink wrap off this year later, even though I did play it and do a needle drop on it, but Mike Watt and the Black Gang doing a couple of covers. Doing Bikini Kills Rebel Girl, excuse my mispronunciation, and on the other side, 30 Days in the Hall. A Humble Pie cover. That was like almost a strange thing for Mike Watt to be covering, but I guess growing up, him and the other guys in the band were jamming out at rehearsal and figured, screw it, we'll throw it in for this one gig we're doing. Excuse me about the burp, but Mike Watt is a friend of mine. It was like a hero of mine for like since 81. He's been a friend of mine since about 1988, 98. And I love the guy. Anything he does, I grab. And you'll probably see that when we go through the back catalog here in my music room / office. Another one I had to do a hold on just because. Another Warner Brothers Rhino split single side-by-side original version of the Stooges' No Fun, backed with the Black Keys version on the cover side. Played this one day I got it. Of course, I love the Stooges. I got everything of theirs on vinyl and CD. I don't know why this is sticking in the keeper sleeve, but I want to show off. Even though you might have seen this in someone else's vinyl video, I want to show off my copy just because I like it, just because I'm a Stooges freak. Son of a... Look at that. Nice little multicolor pressing. Orange coming out of red on the Stooges side, and then solid red on the Black Keys side. Black Keys version sounded rather spontaneous because I don't think they rehearsed it before they recorded, because I can tell, being a musician, that they got the chords like totally interchanged on their version. But when you're a musician, that's the kind of thing you notice. This one I tried to hold when I ordered it, but I guess whoever their distributor was over at the store, they couldn't get it, so I figured hit eBay because I wanted it. I had to have it. Oops. Who's Gonna Do repress of their first ever single, Statues Back with Amusements. Only this time hardcover, gatefold, and 2 other tracks from the same period. In fact, these are the original mixes. Anybody that followed Who's Gonna Do after a while, they probably have what, like I do, even though it's not here, I have the Everything, excuse me, Everything Falls Apart and More CD that Ryle put out in, I think, 92. It had the album, and they have remixes of Statues and Let's Go Die because they couldn't find the master at the time. Also, Statues was a lot longer on the CD because they played for like almost 10 minutes straight. And this time, this is the original mix, the original edit. Excellent stuff. The day I got this in the mail, I did a needle drop on it, and I had to have it. Now my Who's Gonna Do collection is basically complete, so anytime I queue it up on my iPod, it's there. Love Who's Gonna Do. I even got my wife, who's normally into more mainstream stuff, to like Who's Gonna Do, which was like a surprise to me, a shock to me. So that was very pleasant. This one, I grabbed more than a hold, but I had grabbed this because Willie Nelson, Roll Me Up and Smoke Me When I Die. Weird that they're putting out a single from last year's album when he had a new album coming out 2 weeks after this, but I think the only reason they put this out this year is because Record Store Day on this year was 420. Ha 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 ha, but it's Willie Nelson. You cannot argue with him about that. Of course, green vinyl, ha ha. And as you'll see in a little bit, this was not the only green colored vinyl that came out for 420. But I love Willie, so I had to get this anyway. This only came out on Record Store Day in the UK, so this had to go for an eBay search for it. No dogfight. $10, no biggie. The Fall, the Sir William Ray EP. Actually, different mixes of 2 of those songs on here compared to the Remit album, which came out a couple weeks ago. I have it on digital. Good record. Although I actually didn't like it as much as Erzatz GB at first, which is funny because, Marky Smith has been going around in interviews saying he hates Erzatz GB. He likes this record better. Remit, single this comes from. We'll see. Maybe that one will grow on me. Last but not least, from the Record Store Day pile of singles, I'll get to the albums in a minute. Pink Floyd, See Emily Play, and Scarecrow. This was a hold. Yes, put a copy aside for this for me, boys. Because this is my favorite era of Pink Floyd. I don't have much use for them beyond maybe Wish You Were Here. I used to like the one when I was a kid, but I think I grew out of that album. But, yeah, nice thick pressing. Reproduction of the original EMI single, pink vinyl. Plus, they had shrink wraps to this card, if you don't already know, and they had the poster in, which is like actually a copy of the advert. No, I guess there was a version of this for magazines at the time, but this was like, I guess this was hang in store when they were selling the 45 at first. Very nice, very nice. As far as 12 inch, I didn't get too many 12 inches for Record Store Day this year. Usually I get a bunch. But, didn't play this yet, but I had held Paul McCartney Wings, Maybe I'm Amazed, short and album versions of it in both stereo and mono. Very nice. Gotta do a needle drop on that soon. Remastered, good thick vinyl. This was another hold because of the Sonic Youth connection. Thurston Moore and Lauren Connors, who was another experimental guitarist. The album is called The Only Way to Go Is Straight Through. There's only 3,000 copies of this. If you find one, it's in more atmospheric stuff, or if you're a Sonic Youth fan, you nailed this. Maybe you did already if you knew about it. 2 side-long tracks. Pretty cool if you like that kind of thing. Sometimes I like that kind of thing. I'm not against it. When I'm in the mood for something like that, or something like this. And it's on a label called Northern Spy Records. I don't know, so I guess check them out, northern-spy.com. You never know, maybe they'll repress it. Maybe they'll put it on a CD, I don't know. This one was a spontaneous grab, but I'd heard about it. Never owned it when it first came out, but I figured I'd grab it now. The No Alternative compilation came out on Arista, came out on Legacy, now on this version. Nice, thick, 180 gram. I love 180 gram. I'm sorry. Of course, a lot of great artists on here. Matthew Sweet, Soul Asylum, Urge Overkill, Pavement, Bob Mould, Beastie Boys, Uncle Tupelo, Sonic Youth. But actually, I noticed there was a little difference between this version and the original version. The original version had a Nirvana song called Verse, Chorus, Verse on it, which I think ended up later on in utero. I can't remember right now, but I guess someone at Curtis Hates is dead. Not this time. Or maybe Courtney was being a bitch. Don't get me started. I can say a lot worse things about Courtney because I can't stand her. This is not the time and place. Last but not least, on the Record Store Day grabs from that time period, this was definitely a hold. It's very mandatory because I love this band. The White Stripes, Elephants, double vinyl, nice and thick, and 2 different colors. If you haven't seen it, I'll show it to you. If you haven't already seen it, tough shit, I'm showing it anyway. Split, red and black on record 1, and on the other hand, nice all white. Very nice. Didn't play this yet. It's also a download code. I didn't take advantage of that yet. I should soon and upgrade the files I already have that I ripped from my CD. Her in there. Now, for some other things I got in the past month. One of the labels I like to follow is a label called Discord Records out of Washington, D.C. If you don't know, that's the label Ian MacKaye from Minor Threat and Fugazi co-founded. And it's still going strong after 30 years. They still put out great music. That's almost like a good housekeeping seal for alternative rock, indie rock, punk rock, whatever you want to call it. This is a single they put out in conjunction with another DC label called Love It Records, and I bought it partly because I really like the band that's on the one side of it. Office of Future Plans put out a great album on Discord, like at the end of 2011, that I highly recommend. This is a split single with a French band called Daria, and there's like 1 song from each band on this side, and then the download comes with 2 other songs from each band where they're covering each other's songs. That's pretty good, worth checking out. Speaking of Third Man, I just found out about this a couple weeks ago and jumped on it when I found out about it. They have a deal now. First, he started one with Document Records to reissue some blues records. I didn't buy any of those yet because I don't know if I want to go that far. I already had like one of the artists on a box set of CDs here, so I figured I can wait. But this I jumped on because they made a deal with Sun Records to reissue a whole bunch of 45s. I'm like, yes, I'm doing that. So I got the first batch, pre-ordered it, got them almost immediately. Johnny Cash, Get Rhythm, and I Walk the Line. And great quality of the pressing and everything. I didn't do neo drops of these yet, but I will. I was actually looking through 45s the other day that I already have here. I have a repress of I Walk the Line with another song on the B-side, I think Folsom Prison Blues. I can't remember right now, but now I got one that looks more authentic. And then, of course, the other 2 I always wanted to hear because I always read about them. Now I've heard them and I like them. The Prisoners, Just Walking in the Rain, back with Baby Please. Very cool stuff. And the label's like not standing up straight. But Rufus Thomas, Bearcats, is apparently a hound dog, back with Walking in the Rain. Great stuff. I'm looking forward to the next batch because I'll just jump on them. Anyway, outside of records, let's get into some other recent grabs. Excuse me. VC chair, if you will. My wife had gone a couple of times to a Books A Million that opened where Borders used to be, and we're both book readers and everything, so we had to check this out, especially when she went one time and she encountered a vinyl section. So I said, that's it. Next time you're going, I'm coming with you. And at least check this stuff out. Because she had sent me a picture, and one of the things she was focusing on, for whatever reason, was a repress of Naughty by Nature's first album. And I wasn't, so I figured, well, it might be worth a shot, maybe find one thing that I might want to take home. Not dissing Naughty by Nature, but I wouldn't go rushing to buy a album of them to just have a couple of 12 inches back home. But I get there, and I find the vinyl section one Sunday afternoon, and I happen to see, I also happen to glance they have some Crosley turntables, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Besides, they didn't have the Revolution, which I would have been fun to mess around with, bring down some 45s and have some fun somewhere, but I didn't find one. No biggie. I turn on the vinyl section, and the first vinyl I see was this. I couldn't even believe they had a copy of this in such a mainstream store, but Per Ubu, The Modern Dance, a repress of their very first album, complete with, reproduction of the original Blank Records logo. I'm going wrong with this stupid camcorder, I'm sorry, webcam, whatever it's called. Excellent stuff. I have it on disc, but I figured I had to get at least one Per Ubu album on vinyl. I go looking through the rest of the records they have there, and I end up with not one but two Parliament albums. Mothership Connection, Getting Girls' Affection, 180 gram, reproducing the second Casablanca label of this time, the pre, I guess they call it the pre, of course they call it, the pre-Records and Filmworks label. That's, most of my Kiss records have that ugly label on, except for one. That one's 180 gram, wonderful sound, wonderful quality, wonderful funk. It's George F. and Clinton, come on, it's a classic. Speaking of classics, speaking of Parliaments, actually my favorite Parliaments album on vinyl, yes, Funkentelechy versus the Placebo Syndrome. Flashlight, Bop Gun, Certain Nose Devoid of Funk, forget about it. Had to grab this one. I don't think this is 108 grams, it wasn't marked that way, but it's heavy enough. Also has the 76 era Casablanca label reproduced. Another one, Punk Classic, 180 grams. Bad Boys! Oh yes, I had this on CD for years, but having it on vinyl, very, very sweet. Sire Records, wonderful pressing, played it, loved it, always loved this album. And I'm not a format Nazi, I like CDs, I like downloads, I like vinyl. And you'll see that in the videos to come. Just as saying, well, I'm thinking of saying it's most of the new stuff I usually just like buy from iTunes, because otherwise I'd be buying the CD and putting it in my computer to rip it from my iPod, so I figured skip the middleman and not worry about the CD unless it's an artist that would buy on CD anyway. And this, two others from the Books A Million jackpot, if you will. This one I had because I always like this guy's music. Donovan, Greatest Hits, 180 gram. Curiously, the stereo, they have a white label. I don't know if that's accurate, because it looks more like the promo label to me. Because I remember the original Epic label being yellow. And there is a stereo Epic yellow label, because I have one of my uncle's old Dave Clark 5 albums that was stereo, although in that case of the Dave Clark 5 it was rechanneled. I hate that. But, and then Holy Grail Love this album. Have a couple different versions of it, but not on vinyl. Finally found one. 180 grams of that. I don't even have to tell you who it is, what it is. If you don't know, you should find out. Brian fucking Wilson, the man. Yes. Other goodies beyond that from other places. This, I heard it digital. I figured when I heard it was being repressed vinyl, heavy vinyl, colored vinyl, two different versions of colored vinyl from a very excellent indie label called Southern Lord Records out of California, owned by one of the guys from Sun. I figured, no brainer, buy a copy. Sleek, dope smoker, very epic. On the CD, I think it was only one long 60-minute plus track. In fact, on the inner sleeve, there's a chart they had on the rehearsal studio wall. How many times played this riff, whatever, and go on for an hour or so. They call this indica vinyl. The other one, I think, the other pressing, I forget what they call it, but it's more of a purple vinyl. I just went to Emo, got this. Excellent. 180 grams, sounds very nice. Also, one advantage of the vinyl format on this version, you get to pause. You have from the stereo for a while and go grab a drink or pee. Nice gatefold. I understand this is a totally new artwork for this edition, but very nice. Gatefold. Tip-on cover. This is the only one, actually, of all the ones I get new where I kept the original sealed keeper sleeve because of the stickers on it, so I identify it. Normally, I hate those kind of stickers. They don't cover all the way, and there's usually other markings on them and shit that I don't want to see. So I usually just toss that and put a plain keeper sleeve on. This next batch, a label called Smaug's Veil, originally out of Chicago, but the owner's moving to Florida, and I don't even know if he's going to continue the label because he's just like getting rid of stock he had, but or starting a new or whatever, but I guess a moving sale, we'll call it for now. And he had on there, get 3 CDs for whatever. I didn't like CDs though, but get some vinyl for 12-inch for one price, 7-inch for another one. I figured, okay, let's see what you're offering. Okay, you win. Take my money. Wasn't that much. Maybe like $7 for a bunch of 7 inches, 15 for 3 albums. Can't beat that. Good label. First one, Rockin' from the Tombs, the reformed version of the pre-Pere Ubu and Dead Boys band with original members Cheetah Chrome, David Thomas, and Craig Bell, along with sorry, I'm not used to the camera, Richard Lloyd from Television filling in for late Peter Loeffner, and Pere Ubu's current drummer Steve Melman sitting behind the drum kit because they never had a full-time drummer in the original Rockin' from the Tombs lineup. And these are different mixes of I Sell Soul and Romeo and Juliet from this album, which is quite excellent. Barfly, I had it on digital, but I figured I like the album, I'll grab a vinyl copy, and I got a vinyl copy. Good record, check it out, most definitely. I think David's being a little shy by hiding behind that big rubber fly, or whatever that is. Maybe that's just Photoshop in the picture, I don't know. Great album, check it out. The other 2 45s I nailed from Smaug Veil. A Pere Ubu 45. I think they actually sold this during one of their tours. Slow Walking Daddy, back to Sad Text. I didn't play this one yet, but I grabbed it, I got it. And the other one I grabbed only because Cheetah Chrome was on it. I don't know anything about the artists themselves, except they're called the Butcher Boys. It's like 3 songs on, one's actually 2 songs in a medley on the B side. A side is called I'll Tell Me Ma, the other side, Farewell Nova Scotia / Guitar Bolton. And Cheetah Chrome plays lead guitar on the A side. I haven't played this yet. There was a download. I dutifully downloaded it. I'll have to give it a listen when I get a chance. The other two records I got from Smogville when they were clearing out. Another related to Cheetah and the Dead Boys, also to the New York Dolls, because this is an EP by a group called the Batusis, which is Cheetah and Sylvain from the New York Dolls. 4 songs. I didn't play this yet, but I just grabbed one. I grabbed it. But one of them was a cover of the Davey Allen song Blues Theme, which is an instrumental. Knowing these guys backhelling what they're capable of, I'm looking forward to giving this a spin. I can't remember. Is this? I did dutifully download the download code. Is this? Oh yeah. Only vinyl sleeve end. Great vinyl, very nice. Very, very nice. I'll have to listen to that one later at some point. But I feel like it. Because I'm all about grabbing what attracts me when I can grab it, and then later on, when I feel like listening to it, I'll now listen to it. And this one I picked up because it was a compilation. It turns out to be a classic hardcore punk compilation called The New Hope. Basically from... I have an insert in here telling you all about all the bands in the area, I guess from the Midwest. And I actually heard a couple of the bands on a different compilation called Peace and War. I heard Zero Defects doing Drop the A-Bomb on Me as a version of that on here. I didn't know if it's the same version, but... And then another band called PPG. They had a song on the Peace War comp called Whatever End, which is a bonus track on the second LP of this. I'm looking forward to giving this a spin. Oh man. Punk rock is part of my DNA like you would not believe, so this is going to be this was a nice score. Another one they threw into download, so save me the trouble of a vinyl rip. And again, great album, check it out. Barfly, Rockin from the Tombs. A couple of these I actually brought from home because I have most of my stuff stashed in my parents' place. Because my wife and I only live in an apartment suite, and it's only X amount of space in our little homestead, which is fine. But I wanted to find some of my residence records. Last time I was at my parents' place, and I found a couple of them. I have a few more that I didn't locate yet, but I will at some point. But I did manage to find and bring home and rescue first the Tunes of Two Cities. Very interesting instrumental stuff, all played on an early sampling keyboard called the Emulator. Very excellent. Not the first record I would point someone to if they were going to get into their residence, but very interesting nonetheless. This is part 2 of a concept they were calling the Mold Trilogy, which is going to be like 3 albums of story and 3 albums of music, and they only ever ended up doing 1 album of story and 2 albums of music, plus like an intermission EP and a live EP, live album, excuse me. So that project never got finished because they were going through a lot of problems at the time of their residence, and because a couple of them left the company and the band, and there was a whole bunch of other stuff they went through, and it took them a while to reorganize. So they figured, screw it, start over. Anyway, the other one I brought home from the collection, classic residence from the early mid-70s, Fingerprints. I think this is the second pressing of it, I'm not sure. But I recorded some of this around the same time as the third Rock and Roll, but the pressing, yeah, the second pressing's from '79 actually, but normal black vinyl, pink label. One of my favorite Residence albums. I'm just fascinated really by how they would just like record all this weird stuff on their own in their home studio. Excellent. And this is one of my favorites. The Commercial album, excellent stuff. Excellent. I love this record. I've played it a lot on CD. Not that much on vinyl. This is a more recent acquisition, but I have it on vinyl. This is one for some reason. They put out some 180 gram reissues recently through MVD that I'm going to show you a couple that I got already. And but they didn't reissue this one on vinyl yet. I don't know why. They have a DVD version of it. I don't want a DVD version. I want the record. So I got the record. Oh, excellent. This I would recommend for a first Residence record, actually. No matter what the format, just check it out. Then the three, I actually copped these from the folks at SoundstageDirect.com, where I get a lot of some newer stuff, reissues and such. And I had a code, and I had a hankering to grab a few, see what they had of Residence, and succeeded. First, Duck Stab. Actually, another first purchase I recommend for anybody wanting to get into the Residence. A lot of classics on here: Constantinople, Hello Skinny, Sinister Exaggerator, Blue Rosebuds, Elvis and his Boss. Just great stuff. Actually, I'll show off right here because I have it right here. I have. This was a lucky find in a record show, like maybe around 1999, 2000. I found this for like $15. This was the original Duck Stab. They just had 7 songs, and then all that slightly resequenced, made the first side of the album, and they put what's going to be the follow-up EP called Buster and Glenn on side B. But excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. Then the other two I got from the reissue of their catalog. Not available, which the story goes, they recorded it, filed away to be forgotten about because they didn't want anybody to hear it until they forgot about it. Then when there was a problem, like trying to finish Eskimo, they ran to England with the tapes, and Ralph Records was like, shit, what are we going to do? Let's find something to put out. And that's what they found. Actually, the most almost normal sounding thing the Residents did in their early period, because normally most of what they do is very strange and almost atonal sounding or dissonant or whatever. But this is great. I just like that record. And finally, one of the more infamous releases, but very classic. The third Reich and Roll. Great stuff. They're not. This is a very sarcastic title. 2 sidelong, very decomposed rather than recomposed medleys of 60s pop hits, but worth the listen, worth checking out. Also, on the first medley, this album also has, as a matter of note, the first ever James Brown sample. There's actually the horn hit from Papa's Got a Brand New Bag on here. The second time around, you can actually hear him putting the needle on the 45. I shit you not. I shit you not. And the last of it, I had gotten this album on download first. Looking forward to hearing it. Loved it first play all the way through. I said, I'm grabbing it on vinyl if they have it on vinyl. They don't have it on vinyl. 180 gram double vinyl. Daft Punk Random Access Memories. Oh, yes, excellent. Booklets, all the details, very live. This is a very warm and very beautiful record. I love it. I highly recommend it. Ignore the reviews from all the idiots who want every Daft Punk record to sound like Homework or Discovery. Not that those are bad albums, because they're great, but that's everything. This was a mask that D&D stocks are giving away to anyone who bought a copy of the album. I just stuck it in there. What am I going to do with it otherwise? Next one, I was like going through, I grabbed this right away. I'm looking through the used bins and not intending to get anything out of the used bins, just grab this, because this was like fucking $30. And I saw this for $1, and I thought, I'm grabbing it, because they don't have anything of these guys on vinyl, just on disc. Download. New Order, The Perfect Kiss. 2 versions. This version is the version you hear in the video where they're playing live in the studio, and there's the single edit of the album version. Oh, excellent. I'm glad I found that. Other ones, I think I got a few more of new add-ons to close out. I like just about anything Hank Williams III does, because he does whatever the hell he wants. And I just heard he's going to be putting out 2 new albums this year, 1 country and 1 punk, which is the way he always wanted to do things. That's why he had the fights with his old major label. That sucks in the first place. And I actually had all the first 3 albums he put out since he left Curb on CD, because at the time I didn't bring my turntable from home. And I was like, why go through trying to rip all 3 lines just buy the CDs and be done with it? And after a few weeks ago, I figured, let me get at least one I like the most on vinyl. Maybe I'll get the other 2 at some point, but definitely get the one I want first if I don't get any of the others. So I grabbed his Sabbath style, stoner metal, desert rock, whatever you want to call it, album, Attention Deficit Domination. Great record. Excellent stuff. This one I bought right off Hank's website. Strangely enough, blue vinyl. A stoner rock record. I don't know why. I don't get it. I don't get why it would be blue. That's one way of like breaking expectations. I don't know. And he plays every note on this one himself. Great stuff. Great stuff. If you like any kind of Sabbath style hard rock like that, like Down or Sleep or whatever, definitely check that out. Excuse me. Couple Power Pop Classics reissued 108 gram, and I got these actually signed by the head honcho of this band, Paul Collins' Beat. This is the first album repressed. First came out in Columbia because Eddie Money heard these guys and said, pulled his A&R people over at Columbia and said, hey, sign these guys, I insist. And so they got 2 albums out of Columbia for that deal. This is the first one. I actually knew of them, but I never heard a couple of things, but never owned any of the stuff until a few weeks ago. Bump Records said they were having Paul Collins over to sign a bunch of stuff. If anybody wants to buy anything, go for it, and he'll sign it. And so I went for it, got the first 2 Beat albums, and he did indeed sign them. First one says Keep on Rockin' on the front. The first self-titled album, which is great. A lot of great stuff on here. Rock and Roll Girl, Don't Wait For Me, I Don't Fit In, USA, Working Too Hard, which he originally did when he was playing drums in a band called Nerves. I remember that version from a compilation tape years and years ago. Great stuff. Produced by Bruce Botnick, who was the Doors engineer, so there's another seal of approval there, as was the second Beat album called The Kids Are the Same. I guess he got a little excited because he just wrote, yeah, when he signed that one. So I didn't play this one yet. I did play and do a needle drop on the first one. Great kind of punky power pop stuff. Highly recommended. They're actually recording this album, you can see back here, at 20th Century Fox's soundstage, where they would only stick an orchestra to do movie scores. This one, newest one from Discord Records. Bit of a history of these guys, even though for this band it's their first release. A bunch of former guys from Dag Nasty, Swizz, Blue Tip, a couple other bands. Band called Red Hair, an EP that Smiths 45 called Nights at Midnight. Very aggressive stuff. Produced by Jay Robbins from Jawbox and Office of Future Plans. I only heard the first couple of songs of this. I didn't play the record yet, but I grabbed it when I pre-ordered it. Split release between Discord Records and a label called Hellfire. I've never heard of that label before, but it came out on Discord, and given the who produced it and who's on it, I figured I'm grabbing it. Actually, this is and last but not least, this is the oldest of the stuff I got. This is like one of the first vinyls I got this year. I fell in love with this band, hearing it. Advanced downloaded the album and started playing it on my radio show. In February, I made them the Artist of the Month. I love this band. I look forward to everything they do. I think they're the best band of the year already. The History of Apple Pie. This is their first album, Out of View. It's on Marshall Teller Records, a subsidiary of Rough Trade. Excellent kind of power poppy shoegaze stuff. Normal vinyl, but pretty cool ice cream scoop label. Very nice. The lead singer is Stephanie Min. Very pretty voice. I fell in love with this record so much, I actually bought the CD and the album because I figured, oh, I have to. I have to! Of course, it comes out that the vinyl version comes with CD anyway. CD came in first, so it didn't matter. Now I got a spare CD if anything happens. That's about it for this video, which took 3 parts to make. As time goes on, I'll go through the whole collection, the albums, the singles, whatever, because I got boxes of singles here, 3 shelves full of albums, and whatever new stuff I add to the library, I'll show off here. Thank you for watching.